Welcome in, it's a brand new day. Let's light the way. Dream it big, don't hold back, let your colors shine. Every step you take, you're rewriting your own line. Turn the page, make a change, let your heart believe. The life you want is closer than you think. Just breathe on the bright path. We're dancing in the sun, manifesting dreams. Yeah, we're getting things done. Every episode a spark, a brand new start, building a life that's brighter than your world is.
Welcome to a fresh new episode of The Bright Path. This episode is for all you moms out there, because if you've ever felt guilty for wanting peace and quiet, wanting more money, wanting fulfillment, wanting to not be touched for 5 consecutive minutes, this episode is for you. And if you've ever thought, maybe when my kids are older, then I'll get to live, yeah, we need to talk. Somewhere along the way, motherhood turned into a performance review. Are you present enough? Are you patient enough? Are you grateful enough? And if you dare say, I love my kids and I want more, society clutches its pearls. Like, excuse me, I didn't stop being a human with dreams because I reproduced. Let's name this clearly. Mom guilt is not intuition. It's conditioning. It's the internalized belief that your needs are secondary. Your desires are selfish. Your fulfillment is optional. And it sounds like, who do I think I am wanting more? Other moms do more than me. I should be grateful and stop complaining. That voice is loud, but it's not wise. Psychologist Donald Winnicott introduced the concept of the good enough mother. Not perfect, not self-sacrificing to the point of disappearance, but good enough. And research consistently shows children don't benefit from a martyr. They benefit from emotionally regulated parents, modeled self-respect, and caregivers who are alive, not depleted. Burnout is not bonding. In other words, no child grows up and says, I'm so grateful my mom never rested and resented everyone quietly. They say, my mom had a life and she showed me that I could too. Here's where this ties directly into abundance. You cannot create a rich, fulfilling life from an identity that believes I have to come last, because abundance responds to self-worth, not sacrifice. If you subconsciously believe my desires are a problem, then success will always feel unsafe. This is where Neville Goddard fits beautifully. He taught that you don't get what you want. You get what you assume you are worthy of experiencing. And many mothers are assuming my role is to give, not receive. So that quiet assumption that's embedded deep into your subconscious, it quietly caps joy, money, rest, and expansion. Moms will say things like, I just feel bad taking time for myself. But bad compared to what? The imaginary mom in your head who meal preps, never loses patience, has a clean house, and somehow doesn't need sleep? That woman is not real. She's a Pinterest hallucination. Feminine power is not sacrificial. In psychology, the feminine archetype includes nourishment, creativity, and receptivity. You cannot pour endlessly without replenishment. That is not holiness. That is depletion. A goddess does not disappear for her kingdom. She is sustained by it. So let's do a practical shift. Here's a reframe I want you to try. Instead of asking yourself, is this selfish? Ask, does this make me feel more regulated, alive, and present? Because a regulated mother creates emotional safety, stability, and resilience. That is generational wealth. Also, as you know, children are wildly adaptable. You taking a walk alone is not trauma. The iPad will survive, I promise. Many women wait for permission to want more. They want permission from their partners, their kids, society, or guilt itself. So, here's your permission slip. Wanting more does not mean you love your children less. It means you refuse to teach them that love equals self-erasure. You don't build an abundant life after motherhood, you build it alongside it, with rest, with desire, with joy, with boundaries. And when your children grow up, They won't remember every sacrifice. They'll remember your laughter, your presence, your aliveness, and that's the legacy. You're allowed to want more, and you don't need to apologize for it. Joining us today is my friend who actually introduced me to the concept of mom guilt. So I would love to introduce Mari Wuellner. Welcome, Mari.
Hey, Kimberly. I'm on a walk because I'm trying to get to a more quiet place since I have a bunch of kids at home.
Absolutely. Yeah. Since we're talking about that and I have my 4-year-old at home now, this is the perfect time to discuss mom guilt. I know that's a problem that pretty much every mother that I know struggles with. How did you get into this topic in the first place?
Yeah, that's such a good question. So, tiny bit about me, and I have 3 kids. My oldest is 22, my middle is 18, and my youngest is 14. He's at home with all of his friends because it's a snow day here.
Oh my goodness.
And so we're just doing the best that we can, which is the invitation to all of us, right? Just do the best that we can with what we've got at the time we've got.
Right, exactly.
So mom guilt, it came up a couple years ago. I was on a retreat with a bunch of other women, and I do not know any of these women. And one of the first sessions, we're all sitting around, and one of the moms admits super vulnerably that she almost didn't come on the retreat. She had her tickets, she paid everything. Day of, almost didn't go. And we said, oh my gosh, what's up with that? And she said, mom guilt. And I thought, okay, this is curious to me. I don't really understand. And I looked around at the rest of the moms in that room, and every single one of them was nodding their head in agreement, in understanding.
Right, as I'm doing right now, because as a mom, I also completely understand that phrase.
Yes, absolutely. And so I thought, you know what, I'm going to find out as much as I possibly can about this universal phenomenon, because it is getting in the way. It is getting in the way of us moms doing what we want to do, going after dreams. It's getting in the way of our partnerships, of our careers, of our downtime. And there's got to be a better way. I started talking about mom guilt on the socials, as one does. And Kimberly, oh my gosh, so many moms leaned in, and they were responding to me, and they were messaging me, and they were asking questions. And I thought, oh my gosh, we're not talking about this enough. I'm getting so much response to something so universally experienced. There must be some shame. There must be some stigma because it's just not being discussed.
No, that is fascinating that, there's just not a lot of research out there. Because like you said, there is a stigma behind it. Mm-hmm. So do you have any tips or is there any advice that you could give to moms who suffer from mom guilt? Or is it more in depth than that?
No, I have some great tips for sure. And the first thing that's important, I think, for me to talk about is the fact that back 2 years ago, when this gal said mom guilt, I was confused. I was like, I don't feel that. And there was something there. I needed to find out. What was it about me that felt it a bit less than all of the other women in the room? And through, introspection, I realized that it was 2 things. I had my kids when I was 21, so I was young compared to other folks in my community having kids. And I was the first one of our friend group to become a mom. And so that in and of itself was a blessing because I didn't have a friend or a group of people to emulate or to try to live up to or to compare myself to. I just was kind of out there on the mommy streets doing the best that I could, making it up as I went. And then the second reason is there wasn't social media. So I did not have the Pinterest perfect mommy to live up to. And I think for me, that's what saved me.
Oh my goodness. A light bulb just went off for me. And as you were describing, you were a younger mom. Well, my mom had me when she was 21, and there was no social media back then. And same thing, I don't think she really experienced the level of mom guilt that people in this generation really experience. So that's fascinating.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And so the tip there, the tip would be to get off social media, but we're not going to do that.
Right.
And so the realistic suggestion is to curate your feed and to own your input, right? If you find yourself scrolling and you come across something that makes you feel kind of crappy as a mom because you're comparing yourself to some unrealistic ideal, hit unfollow. In my opinion, just get that off your feed. Let's make scrolling as healthy as possible. Yeah,
Absolutely.
That would be my tip number one for that.
Oh, for sure. And I agree 100%. I think anyone would agree. Social media, first of all, you can't believe everything that's on it. If you're seeing a mom who's doing everything perfectly and you feel like you have to live up to that, it's going to not produce anything good.
Yeah. And then, the second tip is going to be to find awareness. And I can't stand it when, people give cliche tips like, oh, it starts with awareness because I'm someone who just wants to know how. Give me the actual steps. And so since we know that change starts with awareness, I've created the research survey to help me uncover the data, but also for moms who want to become aware, taking that survey is the best because the way it's laid out and the questions that are asked forces introspection and it forces awareness, and you start to uncover stories of your own experience with mom guilt that you've tucked away. They're decades behind you, and it's with that awareness that we can intentionally move forward. So that would be my other tip.
That's interesting. I will need to also do that myself because, sometimes you just don't know. Like you tend to lose yourself in motherhood.
Yes.
But for me, it started 2 weeks after the baby was born and I just did not feel human anymore. I'm like, I'm not human. I'm a life support system for this little baby. And I think that's where it all starts is you start to forget who you were pre-motherhood.
And the standard is imposed upon us, right? Mom guilt is not innate. We're not born with mom guilt. It is a guilt. It is imposed upon us. And so, I love that you have your first recollection of it. Through the data, what we're finding, Kimberly, is mom guilt starts in pregnancy for a lot of women.
Wow.
And yes, and this shocked me at first. When this started to emerge in the stories, I thought, oh, this is weird. This is different. I wasn't expecting this. But as I was listening to the women share their stories, I thought, oh my gosh, me too. And I have an example. One time I was just going through a coffee, my coffee shop, and I got my decaf mocha, and I was very pregnant, very obviously pregnant. And the barista held my coffee in her hand, and she looked at my face, looked at my belly, looked at my face, and said, there's still caffeine in this.
Oh my goodness.
And that was number one. That was the
Wow.
first time.
Yeah.
The other time was registering for the baby shower, and I registered for pacifiers. I did not know what I was doing. I had no clue. And my mom said, oh, I didn't need pacifiers when I was a mom. It's this very, very subtle shaming that instills in us early on. And it tells us things like, you're not doing it right. Even though you're trying your best, you could do better.
Right.
Or there's a better way. Or, I'm preaching to the choir here. But it's very important, to think of when was my first experience.
No, exactly. And as you're saying this, I'm kind of starting to have flashbacks as well that I had no idea. I think that would help a lot of women kind of pinpoint where this all started and why. And dust those comments off their shoulder and move past it and say, look, you're not the be all to end all. I got through pregnancy just fine. Thank you very much. Getting through motherhood.
Yes, absolutely. And just with this awareness, this in hindsight, looking back in reflection, you're able to see the mom guilt, and then you're able to see oh, I did just fine. And then it's permission to, when you're out in the wild, because we'll get off this podcast and we'll stop listening and you'll go on with life, and mom guilt will again be imposed upon you, but now you spot it and you're like, oh, this is how it's affecting me. Am I going to let it hold me back or not?
Absolutely. And I myself included, but I have a lot of friends who refuse to travel. So when you were talking about that one mom who almost didn't come because of mom guilt, well, I mean, that's a common problem. How many moms do not live their lives because now they have children, and it shouldn't be that way because children are going to leave the nest. And then what do you do with yourself?
Absolutely. We fall into this. We don't check our identity, right? We don't check our identity when we become moms. And then our identity morphs into being, this is air quotes here, just a mom, right? And then what happens? Exactly. What happens when your identity is now? I'm an empty nester. What does that look like?
Exactly. And I'll never forget this. When I was about 8 or 9 months pregnant, I was getting my nails done because I wanted to give birth with beautiful nails. This is who I was pre-motherhood. And the 2 nail technicians were kind of talking back and forth about how they're like, oh, enjoy it. We missed that stage. And they were saying that now that their kids have kind of left the nest, they're like, our kids don't need us anymore. Our husbands don't need us anymore. So, but we have our dogs. And I was like, oh, like that's true. And I always hold that with me because I'm like, these motherhood years do go by super, super fast, but that really should not be your only focus because it does go by fast and then you lose your identity again.
Yes, there are so many women that I talk to that are, what do I do now? Because we've prioritized other people, whether it's our kids, our partners, our friends, our coworkers, our bosses. We have been conditioned to prioritize everyone else except for ourselves. Now, this is no fault of our own. This is, decades and centuries of conditioning. And we've got to work hard to buck the system and to take little action towards putting ourselves first over and over and over again until it becomes more natural.
Yeah, and that does seem daunting at first. But like you said, if you just take little baby steps, I could see that working. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I love that you are seeing how, yes, this could feel daunting. I think, back to the memes that we see that make everything look so easy. Like, start with awareness, it's like, oh, but how? Mm-hmm. This self-care, this push for self-care, it's like, okay, I know already, and it's hard. And we just acknowledge that it can feel daunting. And so, since it feels daunting, how can we take those little steps? Just like exercising. You gotta flex it, and it's gonna feel uncomfortable, and it's gonna feel weird, and you might even be sore, right? Mm-hmm. And it's a repetitive, consistent flexing of the self-care, of the putting yourself first, and then we just get stronger.
That's absolutely right. What do you think about hiring help on top of,
I love hiring help. Okay, here's so I also have a lot of women in my community who feel badly asking for hiring or asking for help. Right. I was totally there. Right. I don't know about you.
Yep, and I was totally there. I know this can be very controversial. Some people would love the help. Other people want to do it all on their own. I find that the moms who try to do everything all on their own, they end up just falling apart because, let's face it, it's hard. It's hard.
Absolutely. And so here's, for anybody who is feeling resistance towards asking for help, whether it's paid or not, I want to just invite you to think about it in a different way. So as a woman ourselves, everybody listening, I have to say, I'm guessing that you love to help other people. We love the opportunity to be there for someone else when things are tough or when they need us or, someone needs a meal brought to them or help with their kiddo or the list goes on. Mm-hmm. It fills us up, right? Mm-hmm. And so by asking for help, we're actually offering that gift to someone else. It feels counterintuitive. It feels backwards, but it is so true. By asking for help and allowing someone else to help you, you are actually gifting them that dopamine. It feels good to help other folks. Also, if you're paying someone for this, come on now. You're investing in probably a women-owned business. That's amazing.
I love that. I love that perspective. I know a lot of moms, they're worried about having somebody they might not take care of my children the way that I would. Well, that may be true, but I find that the majority of childcare workers love children. They love to help out, and they love to go above and beyond, especially if they are fellow mothers, because they know how hard it is. And they love to pitch in and take over some of your daily tasks as well.
Yes, absolutely. They're a different breed than I am. I mean, when I had to do quote-unquote homeschool, give me a break. I was struggling big time
goodness.
With the pandemic, And so absolutely, that's another really great point, Kimberly, is it's their gift. It's their passion. It's their why. So to give someone an opportunity to live into that, that's brilliant.
Yeah, that's really a fascinating way to put it. So
yeah, I love it. It makes me feel better about asking, hey, could you help me pick up Xavier or whatever?
Right, exactly. I see posts all the time about people who need help, even just getting their kids to and from activities. So that in itself is a whole feat when it comes to motherhood. Imagine you have 3 children, each in a different activity, and there's homework help, and then getting them to and from each of their activities, plus your housework, plus cooking family meals, and the list goes on, and then managing your career, and
yes.
I mean, how do you do it?
I mean, you don't, and if we can bring ease into any of that, there's magic there. Because bringing ease to any of that frees you up for other things. Right. Whatever it is. Whatever that other thing is. I'm all about the ease. For sure.
Yeah, exactly. No, ease is good. And I just keep thinking back to my grandma, when she had children, she was a farmer's wife, right? So she helped him run the farm. She did all the childcare, all the housework, just like the typical traditional farmer's wife role. And I was like, how did you manage your 2 little ones? She also fostered some kids as well, but she's like, oh, well, they would help out on the farm, or I would just put them in the chicken coop for the day. Like, and it's like, I can't even put mine in daycare. How do you just leave yours in a chicken coop? I guess, mom guilt wasn't too prevalent back then. This day and age is completely different.
It is for so many reasons, right? I mean, my mind goes to so many different avenues with that story. Is like, I'm imagining she was also doing the best that she could, and we're all doing that now. And the pressure to do it all and do it right and to look good and to make it seem seamless that we have, it wasn't a thing back then, because at least I'm imagining, because who are you trying to prove it to, the cows?
Right. Yeah. No, exactly. No, there was no social media, and even friendships were not like surface level, superficial. If you had a friend, it was a good friend who more than likely was helping you out.
And I want to circle back to one thing, if it's okay, Kimberly, on mom guilt specifically, because I want to make the distinction about guilt, because that is not a bad emotion. And so I'm here saying, like, we got to get through mom guilt, but guilt, what guilt is it says I did something bad, and therefore I want to either change, make amends, do something differently in the future. So as a mom, I've done things that I'm not super stoked on, right? I've reacted in ways. I've forgotten things. I've not, I haven't been there in the way I wanted to be there. And that guilt is correctly applied, because then I get to apologize. Hey, kiddo, I lost my temper. Mommy's going to really try hard next time to do better. I'm not going to do it perfectly. So guilt is fine. And we're calling it mommy guilt, but really what this is mom shame, because what shame says is I'm bad, and this is what we're combating. You didn't do anything wrong. There really is no need for guilt. We got to get over the shame. You are not bad.
I think we say the word mom guilt, but we don't really know what we're saying or what we're actually feeling.
Yeah, exactly. And that's okay. I think that's okay, because it puts words to a feeling, and then we can acknowledge it and decide. But it just recognizing that it's misplaced, because guilt is a good thing, is important. It's just an important piece of the conversation.
Yes, absolutely. Well, this has been so fascinating, learning about everything surrounding mom guilt and why we feel this way and why it's different now than it used to be back in our mothers' and grandmothers' generations, and how we can maybe deal with it a little bit better.
Yeah.
Do you have a course you'd like to point people to?
I would absolutely love, it's free. The survey is free. If your listeners would be so kind as to take the mom guilt survey and share your experiences and your stories, this is the first step, and it completely helps me in the research. The more women and moms that I have take this survey, the better that I'm able to get the conversation out and destigmatize it, and just take the shame right off, take it away. And so that would be step number 1 to help me out. And no, I don't have a course, but I hang out on Instagram, and so that's another great place to just come kick it with me.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I'm definitely going to be doing the survey right now, because I need to figure this out.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, so definitely follow you on Instagram. What is your Instagram?
It is Mari Wuellner, and it's MariWuellner.
Sounds good. Well, thank you so much, Mari. I really enjoyed talking to you today on the Right Path podcast. I will be posting your link to the survey for our lovely listener here. And I will be also filling out the survey, because I need to know. I need to know how much mom guilt I actually have. Women seem to carry enough guilt and shame as it is. We are expected to be everybody's caretaker, and we're expected to be the nurturers, the givers, and we're expected to look beautiful doing it. We're expected to be equal partners, bringing in an income, on top of doing all the nurturing, the cleaning, the organizing, the nesting, if you will. And it's a lot. And I think women carry too much guilt and too much shame. So if we can dismantle this little by little, we can start to shift our reality, because we will be pouring more into ourselves. So we will be able to manifest the life that we want a lot better than we would if we were completely depleted. Thank you so much for sharing all your knowledge today.
Oh my gosh, it was just went so fast.
It did, it really did.
Yeah. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Oh, of course. Enjoy the rest of your day.
You too.
Thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk to you on the next episode.
So hit play, come along, let's make it real. The Bright Path Podcast, where you dream and feel. Shine on, shine